Welcome to the 2030 webinar series. This is the second installment, the top 3 change order errors and how to avoid them. The agenda for today consists of going over what this session is about, reviewing each of the 3 top change order errors. We'll also go over resources and support, and then lastly, questions and answers. So this session is intended for change order preparers, is only 30 minutes long, 15 of which we'll use to go over the change order errors, and the last 15 dedicated to just questions and answers. So the first change order error we're going to look at is editing a charge string on a partially vouchered PO. So you will receive an error message associated to this kind of change order when a purchase order has been partially vouchered and you're changing the entire PO charge string. The entire PO charge string cannot be changed. Systematically, the funding source cannot change on something that has already been paid. So the action that the department wished to take may be that they have a new funding source that they need to change on a PO. It may be that the PO needs to be updated, corrected, and so on. So first, the change order preparer must check to see if the PO has been already partially vouchered. If it has, create a split on the line that needs to be updated, or reduce the line to match what was invoiced and paid, and add a new line for the remaining amount and enter the updated charge string on that line. What we've seen happen is that the department change order preparers often make the change without checking if the PO is partially vouchered. In other words, they just update the entire charge string combination, not checking to see if something has already been paid against that charge string. This causes PO export errors, and if not corrected, this will also result in voucher export errors. In other words, the PO and any new voucher won't match. Once the error has been made, you can still correct the PO change order. To correct it, create a split on the line that needs to be updated, leaving the original charge string combination on the first distribution line and the new combination on the second distribution line. Or, reduce that line to match what was invoiced and paid, and add a new line for the remaining amount and enter the updated charge string on that line. So let's now go into BearBuy and actually perform these steps. So in this example, we need to change the funding source for a line that has already been partially vouchered. Let's first navigate to the Invoice Vouchers tab. From here we see that the line 1 status is net invoiced, but it's only net invoiced for $100. So the remaining amount on line 1 is $400. So let's go ahead and click on the Purchase Order tab, then the Accounting Codes subtab. Instead of navigating and updating the charge string combination at the header, we're going to navigate to the line where the funding source needs to be updated. Click on the Edit button next to the line you want to update. In this example, there's already a split on the line I wish to update. So what I need to do is determine how much has already been paid on each of these charge string combinations, and then how much is remaining so I could move it to the new funding source. In this example, since only $100 has been paid against the original funding sources, I know that each is $20, $30, and $50. So to make it easier, I'm just going to change the split from percent of price to amount of price. So instead, I don't have to calculate the exact percentage. I can just enter a dollar amount. Since my funding source is changing, I can't update any of these lines. I have to add another distribution line. Go ahead and click on the Add Split link. A new distribution line has been added. Let's go ahead and update the funding source for this new line. Make sure to update the new line with the dollar amount you wish to move. You can make sure your totals add up by selecting the Recalculate Validate Values link and then select the Save button. You'll then see your changes reflected on the line that you needed to update. So the other top change order error that we see a lot is when there's a split by amount on a PO header on a multi-line PO. So when there is a split by amount at the PO header with multiple lines on the actual PO, the resulting is a PO export error. By splitting at the header by amount, the system is interpreting the entire header amount. For example, $10,269 applies to line 1, which for example may only be $1,000. So the department may ask a change order preparer to split the PO amongst different funding sources by amount when the PO may have more than one line. So then the change order preparer may do one of two things. Either 1, if each line has a different funding source, edit each individual line, not the PO header. Or, if some of the lines have the same funding source, create a split at the header by %, not amount. So what departments actually do is they do create a split by amount at the header when more than one line is present. That results in a PO export error. So any new vouchers that will need to be paid against this PO will fail also because the PO changes never make it into BFS. So to correct that error, you could either convert the header split by amount to percentage, or remove the split by amount at the header and edit each individual line to reference the unique chart string combination for each. So here I've already navigated to the PO I need to update. This PO is a multi-line PO, meaning that there are multiple lines on this purchase order. So let's go ahead and click on the Purchase Order tab, then navigate to the Accounting Code sub-tab, and here we can see that the split is done by amount at the header even though there's more than one line present on this PO. To correct this error, simply either convert the split at the header to a percentage or edit each individual line so they have and contain their unique chart string combination. So in this example, I can easily tell that the $100 at the header applies only to line 1. So I'm going to edit the header and remove that $100 chart string combination so I could then enter it at the line 1 level. So click on the Edit button. So from here, click on the Remove link next to the $100. By clicking on this link, the entire chart string combination for the $100 will be removed. Once removed, click on the Save button. Now we see that the header chart string combination has been updated. The split is no longer visible. So now we need to navigate down to line 1 and edit that chart string combination so we charge it to the correct fund. Click on the Edit button in the line 1 section. From here, enter the desired fund code. Once entered, click on the Save button. Now, line 1 is the only line that contains the fund code 32330. All other lines will then be charged to the fund code 66373. The last error that we're going to look at is the error associated to change orders when match exceptions already exist on the PO. When a PO has experienced a match exception, change order preparers experience an error since a PO line had already experienced a match exception and a change was made to the PO. Again, the PO will fail to export into BFS. If no changes were needed, no errors would have existed on this PO. So the action a department wishes to take may be just to update the PO. If the change order preparer sees that there is a match exception on the PO, the change order preparer must do 3 things. 1. Increase the match exception line so the line is equal to the invoiced amount. So in other words, if line 1 is only $100, but 200 has been vouchered against it, the change order preparer must increase line 1 to equal 200. Once the match exception line has been updated, the change order preparer can then perform the original change that they desired, again, finalizing the revisions at the end. So what actually happens is that a lot of change order preparers ignore the match exception and continue with their original change order. When they finalize the revisions, they will always hit a PO export error. This also will result in a voucher export error when new vouchers are applied against this purchase order. So if you have experienced this error, you can still correct it. All you need to do is navigate to the line that has the match exception and increase the line to equal the invoiced amount. Once updated, finalize the revision and your changes will be reflected correctly in BFS. You'll no longer experience a PO export error. I've already navigated to the PO I wish to update. So in this example, I've been asked to change the chart string combination on line 2. Since no vouchers have been applied to line 2, I can go ahead and update it without any issues. But notice that line 1 has a match exception already existing on it. So what I need to do is figure out how much was actually vouchered and paid against line 1. To do that, click on the Invoice Vouchers tab. So here we see that line 1 has been invoiced for $400. The extended price for line 1 was originally $200, but the net invoice is $400. So we need to update line 1 to equal $400. So to do that, click on the Purchase Order tab, and then within the Summary page, scroll down to line 1. So in this example, this PO is a form-based PO. So to edit an amount on a form, click on the form name. So go ahead and click on Service Order Request on line 1. That opens up the form. Now navigate to the Amount section and enter the fully vouchered amount, in this case $400. Once updated, navigate back to the top, and from Available Actions, make sure that Save is selected. If so, click on Go. Then select the Close button. The amount on line 1 is now updated. You can then go ahead and perform your original change order. That concludes the overview and demo portion of the top 3 change order errors and how to avoid them. Now let's go over available BearBuy resources and support. The BearBuy website is a source for the most up-to-date news, announcements, and training resources. The website address is listed in front of you. We also have a BearBuy YouTube channel. Here we post all of our functional demos, which are useful when needing to learn different features of the system. The URL to our BearBuy YouTube channel is listed in front of you. If you need more assistance, please contact the help desk. Their phone number, hours of operation, and email address is listed in front of you. That concludes the second installment of the 2030 webinar series, the top 3 change order errors and how to avoid them. Thanks for watching.